Hello, I'm Richard Vobes, the Bald Explorer, and this is part of my In Search of Sussex, and it's a sort of behind the scenes or an extension of or an extra piece. I don't really know how I'm yet branding this. So in my main feature, which went out as I record this yesterday, I was started at Hangleton in East Sussex near Hove and started my walk towards is it Edberton or Edberton? I'm sure it's Edberton. I'm sure I pronounced it wrong. And I thought, as an extra thing, as I start to do more research, it would be interesting to add more flesh to the bone. Now, I'm standing on the green meadow, parkland, whatever you want to call it, just south of St. Helens Church, which is just up there, which featured in the video. And I'm at the north end. I want to start here because originally here, and I don't know, well, it was here 100 years ago, was a dew pond. It's clearly visible on the maps, and I'm standing in the middle of it now, and I know it's there because, and you won't really be able to see this on the camera, but on the ground you can just make out the outline of the perimeter of it, and you can basically just see it, but it is just there in front of me. So what I'm proposing to do now is to take a walk to the top of Round Hill, which this is really all part of a slope that slopes down towards the sea. And the reason for that is this was an ancient trackway, probably going back to the Iron Age. And if you were to, coming from London, shall we say, as you come across the downs at Saddlescombe, the trackway spurs off down here past Hangleton, down to the manor, which is down the bottom of the hill, through that area, and then it carries up the other side of the valley to Portslade and down towards Southwick. Here again, on this very windy grey day, it's funny how the weather changes, so is St. Helens Church, which, as we established before, is 11th century, possibly earlier, that we don't really know about. This is I think the 12th and 13th century final construction. So what is now a suburb of Brighton and Hove was once downland, as we'd also established, but here that I'm walking on this road, part of the ancient track which came down here past the church and headed down, and as we go further northeast we'll come to the original site of Hangleton, the ancient village of Hangleton, which is now covered in bungalows and domestic dwellings, which started from the 1930s and then picked up again after the war. But as you may be aware, we are slowly going uphill. And just as a quick note, here, bit of an ancient, bit of an old flint wall, which might date back to, I don't know, medieval period possibly, or a bit late, at least a few hundred years. This path that I'm walking on dates, well, it was still in use as a route south. There's a note of it in 1635, and then it fell into disuse and was just a track when Arthur Stanley Cooke would meander along up here on the beautiful downland. Just off the road on the left is the Dyke railway trail, and here it is. You can park your car in this little car park. I've not done this before. This is quite fascinating, and you can take a little cut through up onto the downs, and here we see a bit of a signage which shows us where the old Dyke railway used to go. Now, Arthur didn't walk this. I'm following Arthur's footsteps in the main video, so as I said before, this is sort of a by the by. If I carried out on that way, which is the old Iron Age trackway, would take me up onto the downs. This is a bit of just a short cut really, and I wanted to show you this because it is the old railway which does take its way up to the Dyke, Devil's Dyke, in the Victorian period, particularly when there are all amusements and things that were at the top, and I've made a video about that which you're very welcome to check out. I'll leave a link in the description about the Devil's Dyke and the amusements up there. But this is the site of the railway that would take pleasure seekers and sightseers and walkers, I suppose, up to the top. So I thought I'd follow this just to have a little look-see, but we'll get back on the path, the Iron Age path, and we'll slowly get up to the top of Round Hill, where there's a tumuli to have a look at and some old field systems. Well, they're allegedly there, so we'll see what there is. I'm on the bridge over the A27, which goes that way to Brighton and beyond, Eastbourne, that way to Horsham. Just crossing over now, and what I'm now looking for is to get off this path and onto the Iron Age Hillfort path again. Morning. Which I think might be up here. One of these pathways here over this amazing expanse should take us up to the top of Round Hill. And behind me we see the A27 there snaking away, the wondrous hills of the South Downs, as we are now on the south end of the South Down Hills, and back down that way towards Shoreham and the sea. Fantastic and exhilarating, even though it is quite windy. The wind is now sweeping at an angry bull's pace across from the sea in, I suppose, a northeast direction. And behind me, the track that I have been walking, from the smudge of green in the background, which delineates where the A27 comes through. And up ahead we have what they call a permissive, it's a four-way signpost, permissive bridleway or a public bridleway. It's the public one I want. That's the oldest. We're going to go through here. This is coming up to round hill. Now somewhere are the litchets of the old field systems, and maybe this one here, this bar that I've walked across, could well have been one of them. But we'll continue up this path because we should come somewhere the other side of this clump of trees, I'm hopeful anyway, to the tumuli, or tumuli, however you want to pronounce it. Everybody has their own pronunciations, and we should find the top of Round Hill. And I find myself on a golf course. That is going to be a nuisance. How the devil now can I determine a tumuli or tumuli from the golf bunkers and landscaping they've done? I've had to take refuge behind some elder trees, and a whole load of cow parsley down here next to me in order to get out of the wind. I'm up by the 13th hole, but I have found the tumuli, and if I stand in it, it's incredibly windy, and it's just there. But I have taken some shots which I will show you. It was excavated, I think, in 1925, but when it was officially excavated, they discovered that somebody had already pilfered whatever was there, possibly the 19th century tomb raiders, of which there were many. But that's the tumuli that they've found. Just going to get out of the wind again, whip round here by this hawthorn. So it is possible to come up and see it without really interfering with the golf course. A Bronze Age burial mound, so gives you an idea. Iron Age track, Bronze Age burial mound, possibly an even older track, perhaps the Neolithics were using it. Goes down into Hangleton, down towards Southwick and to Shoreham, where of course there was the harbour. So very important track. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I shall continue with my Arthur Stanley Cooke's journey. Later on you'll see that come up, and I'll continue to do these behind the scenes, sort of adding an extra layer of info and giving you different walks to explore. So thank you for watching. I'll catch up with you next time. Don't forget to follow, like and subscribe. Don't get blown away, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye for now. Bye bye.